All right, let's talk about something that can be a massive headache for anyone trying to build a business: setting up a professional email. Getting that slick you@yourdomain.com address. It sounds like it should be easy, but as a lot of you probably know, it almost never is.
And let's just get right to the heart of the problem, summed up by this perfect phrase, per user pricing pain. I mean, how many of us have felt this? You add one team member, the price goes up. You add another, it goes up again. Before you know it, what started as a small cost is suddenly a huge expense. It's a really common frustration.
So what's the alternative? Well, that's where a service called TrekMail comes in. The whole idea is to let you launch a professional email on your own domain in like a few minutes. It's built from the ground up to just slash through all that complexity and that pricing pain we were just talking about.
Okay, but is a tool like this for absolutely everyone? Let's get specific and break down exactly who this is built for. We're going to look at 4 main groups that really get the most bang for their buck with this kind of setup.
First up, we've got agencies and folks who own a bunch of different domains. If you're managing email for a handful of clients or you've got a portfolio of your own websites, you know the absolute chaos of juggling all those different accounts. The idea here is to pull all of that into one dashboard and just get rid of that messy seat-based system.
Next, let's talk about teams inside a company. Having a super clear, consistent way to get new hires set up with email is just absolutely essential for things to run smoothly. This is all about creating one standard, repeatable process for setting up mailboxes and making sure every email goes exactly where it's supposed to.
And what about if you're a one-person show? Well, for solo founders and freelancers, looking legit is everything, right? Having an email address that matches your website is a huge part of looking professional. So for this group, it's all about speed, getting that credible, polished look from the moment you launch.
And last but not least, there's a group for the more tech-savvy folks, developers and automation builders. This is for anyone who needs to be able to create and manage mailboxes automatically, using code. Think about an app that needs to create new user emails on the fly. TrekMail has an API that lets you do exactly that.
So we know who it's for. Now for the really interesting part, how does this thing actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the key features and what your day-to-day workflow would actually look like.
So why would a business actually switch over? Well, it kind of boils down to a few really smart benefits. You get that professional domain-first email, which is huge for brand trust. Plus, it works with the email apps your team already knows and loves, like Outlook or Gmail, so there's no painful learning curve. They also give you a guided DNS setup to avoid those confusing technical headaches, and everything's baked right in. Migration help, flexible forwarding rules, and even spam protection.
The actual process itself is a pretty simple 4-step dance. Step 1, you add your domains. Step 2, you create your mailboxes. Step 3, if you're coming from another service, you can easily migrate your old inboxes over. And then Step 4, you manage all your forwarding and routing right from one central spot. It's just logical.
All right, now for the part everybody's always waiting for, the money talk. How much does a service like this actually cost? Let's get down to brass tacks and break down the plans. Okay, so the pricing is broken into 3 really clear tiers: Starter, Pro, and Agency. The big differences you'll notice are the number of domains you can manage and the amount of pooled storage. And that's a key word because pooled means you get one big bucket of storage space for all your users, which is way more flexible. As you move up, you also unlock more advanced stuff, like full API access for automation. It makes it pretty easy to see which plan fits you best. The starting line is the starter plan, and it's just $5 a month. This is really designed to get you up and running with all the basics. You get up to 50 domains and 15 gigs of shared storage. It's a super accessible way to just get started. Next up, you've got the Pro plan for $10 a month, and they call this one the most popular option. It doubles your domain limit, gives you a huge boost in storage, and unlocks that full API access for automation. You can kind of see why this would be the sweet spot for a growing business.
And for the heavy hitters out there, there's the agency plan at $29 a month. Now we're talking about managing over 1,000 domains with more than 200 gigs of storage. This is clearly built for people operating at a much larger scale.
And honestly, this might be the most important part for anyone who's on the fence. Every single one of these plans, it doesn't matter which one you pick, comes with a 14-day free trial. You can try out the whole shebang. And if it's not the right fit, you can cancel and you'll never get charged. It really takes all the risk out of the decision.
So, if you're interested, what does it actually take to get going? Well, the process itself really sticks to that main promise of being super simple and easy. It really is just these 3 quick steps. First, you pick the plan you want to try. Second, you create or log into your account. And third, bam, you're in. You can literally start setting up your domains and mailboxes right away. No waiting around, no complicated approvals.
And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? It all comes back to a pretty straightforward question. When you think about all the complexity and that per-user pricing pain, the question is it time to simplify your email operations?